I never imagined that one summer afternoon would change how I saw everything. It was supposed to be a simple day, nothing out of the ordinary, just me doing my job like always. My boss, Mr. Thompson, had invited the whole staff to his house for a poolside barbecue. I'd been working as his executive assistant for almost 5 years, and events like these weren't new to me. They were always family-friendly, full of good food, and usually a good way to relax outside the stress of the office. But that day, something unexpected happened. Something I still replay in my head more often than I'd like to admit. I arrived around noon, the sun already high and hot. The Thompson house stood out at the edge of the neighborhood with its sprawling lawn and white brick walls, the kind of house that seemed pulled straight out of a magazine. As I walked in, I could hear laughter echoing from the backyard. Most of the staff were already there, chatting, eating, or lounging on deck chairs around the glistening blue pool. I greeted everyone with a smile, trying to shake off the nerves that always came when I was around so many coworkers outside of work. These gatherings always made me feel a little out of place, like I didn't belong outside the office context. But Mr. Thompson had been kind enough to insist that I come, and I didn't want to be rude. I quickly spotted him at the grill, wearing casual shorts and a polo shirt instead of his usual suit. He was flipping burgers and laughing with his wife, Claire, who was arranging plates on a table nearby. I walked over to say hello, and that's when I saw him.
Jake.
Their son. I'd seen him a few times before, mostly in passing when he came to the office to meet his dad, but he never really stood out to me before. He was usually quiet, polite, and kept to himself. But that day, something about him was different. Maybe it was the way the sunlight caught in his hair as he came out of the water, or the way he smiled without even noticing anyone was looking. He was 22, I think, maybe just a year or two younger than my little brother. To me, he was always just my boss's kid. Nothing more. But my eyes lingered for a moment longer than they should have before I quickly turned my attention back to the food. Mr. Thompson handed me a plate with a big grin. "Glad you made it, Sarah," he said warmly. "Go grab a seat. Relax a little. Today's not about work." I nodded, thanked him, and tried to find a spot under the umbrella near the pool. I could feel the heat on my skin, and I wished I'd brought a swimsuit, but I hadn't planned on swimming. I figured I'd just stay in my sundress and enjoy watching everyone else splash around. For the first hour or so, everything was normal. People ate, talked, and laughed. Kids ran around while the adults tried to keep them from running too close to the pool. I sat back, sipping on a glass of lemonade, and let my mind drift. Occasionally, my gaze would wander over to Jake, who was swimming laps effortlessly. He was tall, lean but strong, and I couldn't help but notice how easily he carried himself. It surprised me because in the office he always seemed shy. I was just about to look away when he caught me staring. He smiled, not in a cocky way, but in a curious, friendly way that made my cheeks grow warm. Embarrassed, I looked down at my plate and told myself I was imagining things. Eventually, as more of the guests left or moved indoors to escape the sun, the backyard became quieter. It was later in the afternoon, the heat beginning to soften, and most people had retreated inside for dessert. I stayed behind, enjoying the breeze that had finally picked up. That's when Jake came over. He had a towel draped over his shoulders, droplets of water still clinging to his hair. "You didn't bring a swimsuit?" he asked, his voice easy and casual. I laughed awkwardly. I didn't think I'd actually get in. I thought I'd just hang out and stay dry. He tilted his head, studying me for a second. "That's no fun. It's not a pool party if you don't get in the pool." I shrugged. "I guess I'm not much of a pool person." "Or maybe," he said with a small grin, "you just need a reason to try." Something in the way he said it made me nervous, though I couldn't figure out why. It was playful, but it felt like there was something behind it. Before I could answer, he walked over to the edge of the pool and jumped back in, sending a spray of water into the air. When he surfaced, he called over to me. "Come on, Sarah.
Just dip your feet in, at least."
It's not as scary as it looks." I rolled my eyes but decided there was no harm in just putting my feet in. I slipped off my sandals, moved closer to the pool, and sat on the edge, letting my legs dangle in the cool water. It felt good against my skin, refreshing after sitting in the sun all day. Jake swam closer, resting his arms on the edge of the pool near where I sat. For a moment, neither of us said anything. It wasn't awkward, but it wasn't exactly comfortable either. It was just different. "You always seem so serious at the office," he said finally. "It's weird seeing you out here like normal." I laughed softly. "I guess work me is a little different from normal me." He nodded. "Yeah, I think I like this version better." I wasn't sure what to say to that. Compliments from someone younger than me, especially my boss's son, weren't something I was used to. I decided to change the subject. "So, how's college going?" I asked. We talked for a while about school, about how he wasn't sure what he wanted to do after graduation, about how much pressure he felt from everyone to figure out his life. I listened, offering small pieces of advice here and there. The more we talked, the more I realized how different he was from the boy I thought I knew. He was thoughtful, funny, and surprisingly insightful for his age. Eventually, he reached up and splashed me lightly with water, breaking the calm.
"You're way too dry," he teased.
Before I could react, he pulled himself out of the pool and stood dripping in front of me, grinning mischievously. "You can't come to a pool and not get wet." "Jake, don't you dare," I warned, laughing but trying to back away. In an instant, he leaned down, scooped me up in his arms, and before I could even scream, he jumped into the pool with me. The water swallowed us whole, cool and shocking. When we surfaced, I gasped, wiping water from my eyes while he laughed uncontrollably. "You're insane," I said, half annoyed but also laughing. My sundress clung to me, and my hair stuck to my face. "I told you it's more fun in the pool," he said, still grinning. I tried to swim away from him, but he caught up easily. We ended up playing like kids, splashing each other, laughing, and forgetting about everyone else for a while. It felt like time slowed down, like the rest of the world had disappeared, leaving just the two of us in that pool. Eventually, we grew tired and drifted to the shallow end, leaning against the side, breathing hard from all the laughter. The sun was setting now, casting golden light over everything. It was quiet again. Too quiet. Jake glanced at me, his expression softer now. "You know," he said slowly, "I didn't think you'd actually come today. I thought you'd make some excuse." "Why would I do that?" I asked, genuinely curious. He hesitated, then said, "I don't know. Maybe because I always got the feeling you didn't really see me. Like I was just the boss's kid who hung around sometimes." I looked at him, realizing that, in a way, he was right. I guess I never thought about it